What's going on, everybody? This is another edition of Armchair GMs. I'm one of your hosts. I am Bugman Jay, and this
And
guy,
I'm Matt.
and
Jay's over there. Matt's over here.
yeah, yeah. Welcome to the
So,
show. How you
so
doing,
how's
bro?
life? Busy.
Yes,
You know, I know I say it every week. That busy, but you're a parent. I'm a parent. Parents are always busy with stuff. It's just part of life.
definitely.
So,
It's a constant part of my life, man. I'm telling you, having four, man, there's always something different going on during the week, and just sometimes me and my wife's schedules just don't line up to where we can help each other out. So it's a shuffle, man. Some call it the Cupid shuffle. My dad joke of the day. But anyway, bud, it's been a week or so since we've talked. We didn't have an episode last week. I know there were a lot of things that have transpired. Tua coming back. Um, Tom Brady looking like. Well, now I'm not gonna put it all on Tom Brady. I can't put it on Tom Brady. But Tampa Bay looking like a team that is like destitute of talent.
they.
But the
I feel
talent
like
overflows from that team, man.
they've lost their identity a bit,
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
especially in the past like 2 or 3 weeks. Like
Hmm.
it's a completely different team from last year, a completely different team from week one.
Yes.
Especially that defense. I mean, which we talked about it at the beginning, like before week one. You had talked about how that offensive line, it was just going to be like plugging pieces in here and there
Hmm.
because of all the injuries, and we're seeing the results of that. It's not pretty. It's not
It's
pretty at
bad.
all.
It was something that it really caught my eye because they were playing a team um, like Carolina who just traded away probably their best player in CMC, traded away Robbie Anderson. A
Yeah.
team that's obviously in a rebuild, fired their coach, fired their head coach. So, but to come out and just seemingly bludgeon the Buccaneers and just continue to play your style of football, and their defense didn't look half bad. It was just how bad that offensive line looked. Tom Brady's already come out and said he's not going to retire. He has no thoughts of retiring. But when you're tied with my team for the division title, division lead, our division is just horrible, man. It just seems like when one goes down, they all go down, and it's a hard fall to the bottom, man. But they've got to find some kind of way to put the pieces together, some way. I know they can't go another week playing like this because a lot of people more famous than us are saying that them and Green Bay, two teams that seem like they're cooked, like they're
Yeah.
done. They look done.
I was gonna say, like, the NFC North has definitely been a little bit of a surprise this past week. We saw Chicago beat New England. I
Yeah,
didn't expect that.
I
I
didn't
didn't
expect that
expect
either.
it.
I didn't
Um,
expect Mac Jones to get benched
no, no.
for Bailey Zappi.
Which Bailey Zappi is making me a believer.
He's not.
I,
He's
he's not
not
a
going to
bad
be a.
quarterback.
Don't
No.
hype this man up. He's not a starting quarterback. He's not a starting caliber quarterback. He's got a lot of flaws. He's got a lot of flaws. You got to acknowledge it. He brings an element to the game that an injured Mac Jones can't bring. Yes, which is
Hmm.
a lot of mobility, a lot of shots downfield, a lot of him and Jacoby Myers making a lot of highlight catches and throws. But when the game gets down the line, he is not the type of guy to elevate a team to get a victory.
Mm-mm.
He's done it.
That
He's a glorified Cooper Rush. He's a
I
maintainer.
do.
He maintained that game.
I do. I
He
do
did
like
what he
that
had to do,
metaphor
but
though.
when the time came for him to bring them closer to win the game, could he do it?
No. And
Exactly.
that's essentially why Chicago won the game. And then, on the back end of that, we saw Green Bay lose to Washington. To
Yes.
Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
Taylor Heineken, as I like to call him, but yeah, but Minnesota was on a bye, Detroit was on a bye,
hmm
and seeing the arch rival, Green Bay Packers lose a game, I slept better that night. I'm not gonna lie. So
When we're going to talk about the fact that your team is actually 5-1 right now, that
uh,
is something that just snuck right by me. As I went through my day, I was looking at NFL Network, and I saw the power rankings. I was like, they're 5-1.
and what's funny is, everyone on that team says, "Oh, we haven't even played our best offense," and I'm just like, "What do you mean?" Like, first off, like, I don't know if you guys are getting cocky or what, but like let's tone it down a little bit. Whatever
Send
you're
it down a little bit.
whatever
Hey,
you're
that
doing,
just lets you know they know their potential, man.
yeah,
That just lets you know
true.
it's no time to be humble. You're sitting here with a quarterback on a 1 year guaranteed contract, totally guaranteed, by the way. So they have to
Mhm.
do what they have to do to win now. So they haven't
Pushing
had
all
to
those
really
chips
play
in.
anybody who's really any tough competition. Your defense still has a lot to do to get to that playoff caliber point. So you will be tested in the next coming weeks.
Oh yeah,
Your next 4 weeks will really prove whether or not you're that team that can get it done. Because Kirk Cousins, he he may need some help getting y'all there. I'm just
I was
saying.
gonna say, the as long as we can avoid primetime games, I think Kirk's gonna be all right.
He has that prime time monkey on his back. Not to
He
use that
does.
word, but yeah,
He
but he's got to
does.
shake it off. He's got to do the Taylor Swift man. He's got to shake it off.
He's got to
All right,
find a way.
as we have to do for every episode, we have to pay a few bills. So Matty Ice is going to be on the ads today. So let me get that ready for you, Matty.
All
And
right. Our first ad comes from Fresh Cuts. Fresh Cuts is a local barbershop in Marion, Indiana. Contact Caleb Kemper for an appointment time through www.freshcuts.com or freshcutsbarbershop.com. Apparently, I can't read today. Uh, let's see. Our next ad comes from Steve Wood Illustrations, here for all your art needs from Star Wars, G.I. Joe, and beyond. See him for all your nerds in your life who you aren't sure what to get. Our next ad is from our friends at Afro Latinos. Afro Latinos are changing things up. Check out the Culture Corner podcast featuring Aubin and Shaylin and hear from them soon as they're still under construction. And Rules of the Frame is another friend cast specializing in movie reviews of pretty much anything there is. Connor will soon be a guest on our other show, Smash Popcorn, and we look forward to collabing with them. And last but not least, Thousand Whys of Weird is just that, weird. From reviews of weird movies to criticizing bad movie choices, Brad H. and Billy Martell will keep you entertained and laughing for hours on end. Check them out exclusively on Spotify.
just like that, you did it, Matty Ice. There you go.
Could have been better.
Good shot.
I didn't have everything like slid over enough to where I could read it without. So technical difficulties on my part.
There we go. There we go. All right. All right. Well, we're just gonna start the hour with these news and notes. All right. We'll go back and forth with this a little bit. How do you feel TJ Watt being back at practice helps the Pittsburgh DST? Could they possibly be a streamer this week?
I think so. I mean, I think it'll depend mainly on what we like. I'm not going to jump right out and get them this week,
Mm-hmm.
but I think after we see how that team performs, and not just the defense, but the team as a whole. Because, I mean, to keep a defense healthy and fresh, you got to have consistent offense.
Definitely.
And I haven't seen enough consistency out of Pittsburgh's offense to justify going out and jumping to get the Pittsburgh defense. But I think TJ Watt coming back this week will light a fire in that defense because he is a defensive leader. You know, he was Defensive Player of the Year last year for good reason. And yeah, I think he helps that defense a lot. So definitely a defense to keep an eye on, going forward. If you're struggling for a defense, I'd say go out and get them. But as for me, I have Tampa Bay's defense, so I'm not going to drop Tampa Bay's yet because
I might
Tampa Bay's
consider it.
Tampa Bay's defense was doing pretty well the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Surely they'll bounce back, especially with Todd Bowles. I mean, something's got to give.
They say they want to try to get some younger players in. Hopefully that's a bid for Rashad White to get some action because Leonard Fournette is really touchdown dependent right now because that offensive line is really – the offensive line's not getting any push, and if they don't get any push, he's not going to go anywhere. So that kind of drops his stock in my RB rankings for this week. I probably got him down probably at 12. I'm not saying he's not RB1. He's just feeling more of a low end RB1 to me right now. But I'm not. He's starting. I'm not going to put him on my bench because I don't think there's really anybody on the waiver wire right now outside of possibly Gus Edwards. But that's the only problem. Play maybe non PPR. PPR, I'd still start Leonard Fournette because he's going to catch maybe a couple balls out of the backfield. Mac Jones is to start over Bailey Zappi this Sunday with the Jets. Would you start Mac Jones, seeing what you saw last week?
In 2 QBR league, probably. I would consider it, especially since we are getting in that point in the season where, we're experiencing bye weeks. So you're going to need someone to step in. You're going to need someone to, fill that void for your second QB. But in standard PPR or standard and PPR leagues, I'm not sure I would bite the bullet on taking someone like Mac Jones. I think I would feel safer taking someone like Matt Stafford, who is not having a good season at all.
No.
So
okay,
but so that's just my take.
So would you rather have Russell Wilson or Mac Jones?
I had a feeling you were going to ask me this.
It's a legitimate question.
I know. I'm going to go with Mac Jones.
Okay,
because I've had enough of Broncos country.
Mac Jones or Derek Carr?
Oh, Derek Carr. I would take Derek Carr just because, you still have the Devontae Adams, aspect in there. And what's that one wide receiver's name? I forgot what his name was last week too, or 2 weeks ago. It's Hollins. Matt Hollins?
Is it Matt Hollins?
Yeah, I believe so.
And speaking of teams who are on bye, that will be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. So that's Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, wide receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster on bye. Travis Kelce, CEH, etc. Mike Williams is going for an injury. He is doubtful. He is week to week, so that's something to keep your eye on. But what were you adding on, Matt?
Hold on, I'm still here it is. Hollins. Yeah, Mac Hollins, not Matt.
Mac Hollins. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, that was driving me insane. I had to look that up real quick. But No, with buys this week, I don't know, man. Like for buys for those teams this week, like I like especially in the wide receiver position, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at people, sort of like maybe a Josh Reynolds, which I'll touch on his numbers here in a bit, but
Yeah.
he's one I would definitely consider. In fact, let's take a look. Nico Collins, definitely one I would also consider. Corey Davis,
Maybe
maybe,
deeper leagues
maybe.
might be valuable. Well, not
I just
necessarily because I just don't. Who out there besides Garrett Wilson? Because Elijah Moore is kind of in the doghouse. He wants to be traded. He's said it publicly that he wants to be traded. He is not seeing eye to eye with the offensive scheme and the lack of passing to him. But I think if you can get a somewhat healthy Corey Davis, with Brees Hall suffering season-ending knee injury, they're going to need to throw the ball more. You
I was
know,
gonna say, like, we saw Brees Hall go down,
mm-hmm.
so that's probably gonna open up the game a little bit more for those wide receivers for the
Yes,
Jets. And we'll probably see, Michael Carter back in the mix, or see him on the field a little bit more.
definitely.
Possibly Ty Johnson. That's just a name I'm throwing out there. I wouldn't put much stock in it.
Deeper
Not,
leagues, he might be useful as a flex.
yeah, like probably your 12-man teams,
Yeah,
but
14 league,
any
14 team league
t-
teams.
10 league, I don't know. I would kind of stay away from Ty Johnson. I'm sure
Yeah,
there's better options out there,
most likely.
but he may surprise us. He may come out, this coming week and rush for a couple TDs and make complete fools out of me and you. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Who's another person that went out this week due to injury, though?
There's a Thursday night game tomorrow night, and
Uh,
kind of want to hit on the. Uh, you'll have Cameron Brate will be out, Russell Gage will be out, offensive lineman Luke Godecki will be out. Their defense is pretty banged up. They're missing a lot of pieces on the defensive side of that ball, so that DSC is probably going to suffer. That's a non-starter for me right now. It's definitely a
I was
non-starter.
gonna say, like, and going up against Baltimore of all teams, where at the beginning of the season, Lamar Jackson had more touchdowns than any team in the league. So it's yeah.
Okay.
Who
Well,
knows? I may I may go ahead and consider drop or like benching Tampa's defense and possibly taking a shot at Pittsburgh though.
I
Now that
think
we bring that up,
you know who I had success with last week that I really didn't think that I would.
hmm,
Miami. I had a hard time dropping them last week.
really?
You saw the game that they had, how tight it was. It was a pretty good, pretty sound defensive game. It was hard for me to let them go, but I know it's not always going to be that way. Their defense has its limitations, obvious limitations. So, but that one is stuck me as a streamer option maybe down the line.
I was gonna say Miami's defense isn't bad.
No,
It's
not bad.
inconsistent.
Yeah,
It's inconsistent, but
you never
I think
know
that's one
week to week.
exactly. So I mean the weeks you expect them to get you a lot of points, it's either subpar or you lose points.
And
And
games where you don't expect them to be in it at all.
yeah, so it is what it is. I know I'll probably have to sit down, tonight and really consider, do I want to start Tampa Bay's defense? So because who knows, I might be surprised. I doubt it, but we'll see.
We'll see. Uh, as we move forward, try to speed through this a little bit. Just fantasy relevance. We all know that James Robinson was traded for a fifth round draft pick.
I
and
was gonna say I forgot
went
about that
to the
actually.
Jets. So I'm looking at this from a perspective of, does this hurt Michael Carter's stock or does it help it? Because if you look at how James Robinson had played himself out of the Jaguars offense after being the bell cow back, but he was also the back that never really got his fight and share because every chance he got to be the main guy, there was always someone handcuffed to him.
Hmm.
So, what is it like to have two handcuffs on the same team?
I think honestly, I think it's going to be one of those where, like this week, I would feel better starting Michael Carter because
Definitely. They're going to be trailing.
because yeah, because Robinson's going to be learning that offense, and he's probably going to have limited snaps.
Yes.
Now, after this week, I could see it being a 50-50 split because I mean, Michael Carter, he's a decent back. He's a decent back for fantasy. I wouldn't say he's like a top tier back by any stretch of the imagination. Now there's James Robinson, but they're both reliable targets. Out of the backfield that like they can help Zach Wilson out. In screen pass situations.
Definitely.
You know.
One leaning more towards their skill set than the other. James
Mm-hmm.
Robinson, goal line, short yardage, run down back, non PPR more. But he has a little bit of PPR because he will catch passes seldomly. But not Garrett, Zach Wilson doesn't have a big history of throwing consistently to the back. So it might be cut off. One may get touches, the other may not. So
Right.
it kind of
But no,
limits their value, but they're still worth looking at in my eyes.
oh yeah, absolutely. Like it'll depend after this week. If we go into next week and it looks like James Robinson is going to get like a good a good amount of reps, I would say James Robinson is going to be seeing a lot more or utilized a lot more than what
Yeah.
Michael Carter is. So
Yeah, I think so too. Moving along, Russell Wilson. Nathaniel Hackett says that Russell Wilson, with his hamstring issue and also the lat, is trending towards playing with the Jaguars. Do you think he is a starter this week? Streamer, maybe bye-week streamer? No.
no, I
Um,
have lost faith in Russell Wilson. I have lost faith in him, and I don't know what Russell Wilson we are seeing right now, but it's not the Russell Wilson we saw, while he was in Seattle. Like I think I would almost take last year's Russell Wilson over this year.
definitely. Okay, now, if any other news or notes you want to go over, any player transactions, trades, anything you want to talk about?
Well, we mentioned the CMC trade.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned you mentioned the Robbie Anderson trade.
Mm-hmm.
You just mentioned James Robinson. I think that pretty much covers, like trade deadlines at the moment. I mean, it's
Yeah,
coming up. I think it's coming up. What next Tuesday,
I think so.
November 1st?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
they have a little while. They have
I
a
have a
little
little
while to
while.
make some changes.
Oh, wait. There was one because I saw Kyle mentioned it.
Cam Akers
Robert,
isn't practicing, so he knows he was. I
I'm
think he
glad you
knows
brought.
he was put on the market, but
I'm
so
glad you brought that up because there is a rumor. I'm not putting much stock into it because I don't want this trade to happen. Talking about sending Cam Akers to the Minnesota Vikings.
mm-hmm.
I'm not really sold on it, but I know they kind of want to do something because Madison is a free agent after this year, so
Yeah.
we'll see. One other trade that happened, you had Robert Quinn go from the Bears
Mm-hmm.
to the Eagles, which I think will beef that defensive lineup more than what it already was.
Definitely.
And with Okay, so before we get into like jock and joke or whatever, with all the trades and transactions that Philly made from the time the draft happened and still making transactions now, like how sold are you that the Eagles are probably going to make it to the Super Bowl this year?
Mm, uh, I'm partly sold, but at the same time, we've been here before.
Not wrong.
So I always like the wait and see approach. The real question I want to ask you is with the Atlanta Falcons' next 6 games, how could you tell me that they're not going to be in the playoffs this year?
Do you want my honest answer?
Yes.
Because you don't pass the damn ball. You're not passing the ball. You're running it 87% of the time. And I'm just throwing a number out there. Like,
It's just more like 67, but you got it.
like
They
I
run the
was,
ball a lot. We had 15 pass attempts, but hold on,
yeah.
hold on, hold on. Before we get into that, let me tell you the next 6 games. Right? We have the Panthers, the Chargers, then the Panthers again, then the Bears, Commanders, then the Steelers.
I'll give you guys the Commanders and the Chargers. I'm not
Mhm.
counting out the Panthers
What?
because I'm not. No, I'm not because I counted them out against Tampa Bay, and somehow Carolina with PJ Walker, who you and I talked about before we before we went live. He's what 2 years out of the XFL.
Yeah,
Came in and they tore up Tampa Bay. So I'm not going to count out Carolina right now.
that might be a smart
Like
investment.
so the Steelers will wait. We'll wait because we got to see what TJ Watt does. We got to see, if there's any sort of consistency, for the Steelers offense, which I'm not sold that there will be. So I'll give you guys the Commanders, the Chargers, and for now, I will say the Steelers.
Okay,
So
it's not fair, but it's okay. I got you. But that is the truth, though. But like uh, on the realness, like I can't understand the AFC West. This is my mini rant for fantasy purposes. The AFC West was supposed to be the best this year. The AFC West was supposed to lead us. There's supposed to be high-powered offenses. We were supposed to see Russell Cook, Justin Herbert, and Mike Williams take the next leap. And all we've seen is mediocre after mediocre after mediocre. How is Marcus Mariota QB 12 and he only passed the ball 15 times? It's not real, man. It's
I don't get
everything
it.
we thought was going to be a thing was not. I was ready last week to get on here and rant about how QB should be picked in the first round. And then after week 7, I just was like, I'm glad I didn't get on there and say that because I would have looked like a fool because they are not worth it. Outside of Josh Allen's, Patrick Mahomes, I'm even questioning Lamar Jackson at this point. But he does
I can
have
see that.
question. He might have his targets back with Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman's limited in practice. So and Gus Edwards was also limited, but it's a Thursday night game, 2 limits in a row. That lets me know that he's at least participating, carrying on with things going on. So it's good. But man, it's just bad. I don't know what else to say, but it's just offenses that you feel like have the capability of doing so much more, and then they just leave you like, what? If you
On the
told me Kyle Pitts would have had less points than Robert Tunyon, I would have told you were lying. But it's not a lot.
I was gonna say that the two. So there's a few divisions that have surprised me this year. First and foremost, the AFC West. I mean, they were supposed to be like the pedigree of the NFL. You know, everyone and their brother was going to the AFC West. The NFC South was supposed to do immaculate things as well. Not like you know, not like anything too crazy, but they were supposed to do some things as well. And it's not happening. It's not. Now, on the flip side of that, the NFC East is surprising me for sure.
Hey,
Hey, what's up, Alvin?
What's up, guys? Just
You doing
checking
all
in.
right?
Oh, of course. I'm on the phone with Brad, and I was like, "Wait, they're recording right now, right? I'm gonna just pop in and say hello."
Well, hey guys, this is Alvin.
What's up, everybody?
He he is we touched on his ad a little while ago.
Hey,
So what's going on, bud?
I'm just helping Brad with some stuff for the podcast and just chit chatting. Have a night off for the first time in a long time, so just kind of relaxing with my wife at home and existing as a human. Losing in fantasy pretty bad, so I think I need to listen and see what's going on and get some tips. Actually, I'm doing okay. I have a lot of underperformers, but we're just trying to do our best.
yeah.
So
I made the mistake of jumping on that Kenyon Drake bandwagon, thinking that Gus Edwards wasn't ready to start. But I should know John Harbaugh by now. If he activates a running back who's a star, he's going to play him over the other guys every single time.
There you go.
So, how excited are you that Robert Quinn is going to help out that defensive line for you guys?
Here's how I feel. Okay, then this is just me talking. I am the biggest hater of Howie Roseman because I think he's an idiot. He's made some terrible decisions in the drafts. We don't need to name them. It's a lot of hurt feelings out here in Philly fandom. However, his decisions over the last year have completely rectified any and all mistakes he's made in the past. I mean, I can kind of forgive DK because he's injured now, so I can forgive DK Metcalf. I can forgive Justin Jefferson. I can even forgive Devontae Adams because our defense is up tremendously right now. We just picked up literally for a bag of chips and a soda, we just got Robert Quinn, a former Pro Bowl defensive end, like to bolster a defensive line that's already one of the best in NFL, that's already leading the league in sacks, and we're just adding a pass rusher who can absolutely. So, hi, Roseman. My hat's off to you, my friend. I still hate you because, again, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, especially for names like Jalen Reagor, who's no longer on the team, JGR Arcega-Whiteside, who not only is no longer on the team, only had one touchdown, which was a fumble recovery in the end zone on a Miles Sanders run. So his only touchdown in his career in the NFL comes from a fumble recovery. Miles Sanders had it was like a 60-yard run, and he got the ball knocked out of his hands at the end zone. The ball rolls in, and he falls on the ball. And that's the only touchdown he has in his career, was a mistake. Was so bad at his position, they moved him to tight end, cut him, got signed to Seattle's practice squad at tight end, and is no longer even on Seattle's roster. And if you can't make Seattle's roster, you're really doing something wrong. That's all I'm saying.
But hold on, though. Speaking of Seattle, like, is this team not fool's gold, or are they legitimately like a good run system? Like, how is that even possible? Like, how can you run a system that's just uber effective with like very limited?
Oh, I have no volume. Hang on.
No, you're there.
Oh no, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh, we can hear you, Brad. Okay, we can hear him, but I don't
Is everyone
think he can hear
muted? Why
us.
can't I hear anything?
Hold on, someone message Brad real quick.
That's him. I got it.
Device not connected. There he is.
Are they good? Are they fools? I don't know how to describe them. I think the NFC West is a big disappointment this year. I
Yeah.
think in what should have been
Yeah.
one of the most competitive divisions in football this year,
Mhm.
it is an utter disappointment and
I'm leaving. Hang on.
probably the most upsetting division in football right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the 4-3, 3-3, 3-4, and 3-4. Like they are just shut up, dog. Nobody cares. So they are just stop. They are just underperforming about as well as anyone can.
Yeah.
Probably for some reason the NFC East, which should not be as competitive as it is the best division in football. But that's a conversation for another day.
There you go.
Fixed it.
Hey,
Go.
hi, Brad.
Hey!
There he is.
People coming out of the woodwork for Armchair GMs tonight, boys.
He got too excited. I was like, nah, I'm getting in on this.
Sit down.
All right.
Sit.
But I just feel like their team is just played 2 steps ahead of a team that's obviously in a rebuild. So I don't think that they're gonna stray away from that. But I'm gonna ask you two this same question that I asked Matt like just a few minutes ago. With Atlanta playing the way they're playing, right? Take them as they are, right? Take them as they are. How could you tell me in the division that we're in, with how many wins we have, we can't make the playoffs based on our next 6 games? We're not even playing a team with a winning record.
I can tell you like this. Number one, you still are playing Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm. Who just got beat by P.J. Walker.
It's still Tom Brady. I get it. Like I get it, but it's still Tom Brady. I think the Saints will really turn it around. I think they're underperforming a lot, but I think they just have too much talent on the offensive side of the ball to keep being as mediocre as they have been.
You could make the same argument for Atlanta. You can make the exact same argument, legitimately.
I think
Statistically, from where they were last year, it's especially with a healthy Cordero Patterson, a healthy Kyle Pitts. Maybe the quarterback's not the quarterback they need to be playing with.
You said maybe?
But both the quarterbacks suffer from the same kind of mishaps.
I think.
But fantasy, they're borderline 2 QB gold.
But I feel like the Saints athleticism and maybe upside is bigger. Like Olave has probably bigger upside than Cordero Patterson does. If Michael Thomas ever sees the field again, like if he could, he's an all-star Pro Bowl player throughout his career. So if he gets going, like I trust Jameis more than, which is a bizarre statement to say, and I realize that, but I trust Jameis more than I trust
Jameis
or whomever else is your. I mean, he's gonna throw 65 interceptions, but he's also gonna throw 56 touchdowns. So like,
yeah, he could be a hit or miss. He could pull some decent fantasy weeks if they condense his play calling. But I honestly, I made this argument during the draft that I thought we should have took Olave instead of Drake London.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to retract that a little bit,
but
I feel like if Desmond Ridder got to play in this offense, it would take him a couple games to get to the point where he can run the offense. So you would lose. So it's better. I just want them to expand what they do with Mark Mariota, and he could be a Geno, man. He could be a Geno. He's QB12, by the way, though. So he's not that far. He's not that far from being where he needs to be. They just need to throw the ball at least 25 times a game.
I just think their whole offensive system is weird when you don't utilize the unicorn that is Kyle Pitts, when you don't have the massive framed guy that is Drake London getting involved. What do you do? Like, I love Mariota. I do. I think that was a great pickup for you. You're probably like dancing for the fact that you don't have Matt Ryan to deal with anymore because that guy is some toast, like some absolute toast.
He is cooked.
And I have to hear it here because of where I live. All these Colts fans are like, "Oh no, we were one QB away. We just needed Matt Ryan." I'm like, no, that's not the quarterback.
They weren't wrong. They just needed Matt Ryan from 5 years ago. Not
exactly. They needed 2012 Matt Ryan.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing with Colts right now. The past 5 years, they've just taken these old quarterbacks and plugged them into this system, quote unquote, and you're putting a Band-Aid over a flesh wound. That's all you're doing. You need to develop a quarterback. You can't take someone like Carson Wentz and expect him to make a complete turnaround in 1 year. You can't take Phillip Rivers, an ancient
guy. So
huh?
he was with his guy, Frank Reich, in Philly. That was his guy, he coach. So I think that's why they expected it to be big things for him. But anyway, continue.
But you had an ancient Phillip Rivers the year before. You expected him to do You expected him to do something. I don't know what, because at that point in time, he couldn't chuck the ball, 30, 40 yards. Like, I remember watching that last play against Tennessee a couple years back, which it was divisional playoff. He brought in Jacoby Brissett for the last play of the game because Rivers couldn't throw the ball downfield. Okay, don't know what the hell y'all were thinking, but okay. Now you bring in an aging Matt Ryan, who's well past his prime, and it's just like, what are you doing? This isn't going to work.
But yet, they tried. But you can see the writing on the wall. His last 3 seasons, it was a steady decline in his air yards. His accuracy was going down, but he wasn't. It's like his body was there, but his mind still thought he could do what he was doing. But you could just tell the little telltale signs. Passes you have no business making. You're throwing into triple coverage. Your balls are either going too far off or they're all short. 2 hoppers, like crow hopping like Tom Brady was doing Sunday. So I'm just saying, if things were different, if we could pick how we wanted our quarterbacks to play, I would tell them air it out at least 7 times a game. Stretch the defense. But that's not what Arthur Smith is trying to build. He's an extremely run-heavy offense. Extremely run-heavy zone scheme. It works. It works. But last week was like, hey, if you pass the ball, maybe you'll have a hey, if you pass the pass the ball. Run. Pass the ball. That's all I was screaming at the TV. Pass the ball. But they couldn't do it.
It's like they don't trust Mariota, which is kind of really dumb.
Yeah. Either play him or pull him.
There's no in between.
Yeah, there's no in between. There's no playing the fence. There's no, we're just seeing what we have right now. No, you do that crap in the offseason. Right now, you're either going to win it or you're going to just sit and let this junk tank, man. I don't want to play hyper-competitive games for 6 weeks and then come to see another hyper-competitive game and watch myself just get knocked over like I'm a kid. Like I'm a 5-year-old playing in a middle school playground. Just getting pushed every kind of way. But I digress. That's my rant for today. Because I can't stand for our number 1 overall draft picks, first rounders, first wide receiver, first tight end, not get any opportunities downfield. Strictly playing seam routes. Kyle Pitts is not strictly a 1 route guy. He is not Mark Andrews. He can play on the outside. He can play on the inside. He can play in the slot. He can play on the corner. He can play wherever you want him to be. But it's like they're just putting him in a box. They're like, you're going to play like this, and it's going to cap his potential. Because last year, he didn't play like that at all. Not one bit. There was no restrictions because I don't know if it's the quarterback modifying how he plays or the offensive coordinator like, hold on, we're going to slow this down a little bit. We're going to keep this tempo slow. And they didn't change it when they were losing really bad. It didn't make any sense. And the same goes for Tampa Bay. It's like their game plan didn't change either. It's like they just continue to just allow themselves to get bludgeoned. And the ways they tried to get back weren't even ways that looked good. Nothing looked good. It's just weird that offenses around the league are just playing like defenses have gotten twice as good overnight or something because there's a lot more stiff defenses than there are stellar offenses right now. Like Philly became he left. Philly became that team that nobody wants to play right now, while the Super Bowl champion team looks like a team everybody wants to play. It's like a free win. If it wasn't for Cooper Kupp.
And even there,
Aaron Donald,
4-3.
Yeah.
And they're getting beat out by the Seahawks, a team nobody thought was going to play like they're playing. It's just weird.
I know I didn't, and Geno Smith, he's really surprised everyone. We saw Rashard Penny. We saw Rashard Penny, go out. That was kind of no surprise. But then we saw Kenny Walker, the third, come in, and he's just been playing lights out.
Lights out. DK Metcalf's hurt, though, so that's going to be a kind of a deterrent.
And Lockett's the leading receiver, so
I was going to say.
All I care about is to beat the Giants on Sunday. I'm so sick of the Giants. Anyway, that's a different story for another day.
They're fluky, man. They're fluky.
I'm sick of the Giants.
Don't believe in them because they haven't beat anybody. But Aaron Rodgers is cooked. So that win against Aaron Rodgers don't mean a hill of beans to me.
Yeah, but I still have to hear it from Giants fans. The Eagles haven't played them yet, and they don't play for the last 5 weeks of the season. We play them twice, so the Eagles haven't played them yet, and it's like we played everybody else in the division, beat everybody else in the division, we beat the Cowboys, smacked the Cowboys. Well,
they played Minnesota this year.
We played Minnesota week 2.
Yeah, you guys put a stomping. You guys put a stomping on us week 2.
We're Minnesota's only loss.
Oh yeah,
held Justin Jefferson to 2 catches. Big play Slay, baby.
Ooh.
Big play Slay.
I didn't expect Slay to keep him under wraps the way that he did.
The Eagles secondary has the number one. This was the Eagles bye week, so they didn't obviously play. But prior to this week, the Eagles had 2 of the top 3 receivers in the NFL in terms of yards allowed. James Bradbury was number 1. It was like 130 yards allowed total, and that's through 6 weeks, which is an insane number of receiving yards. And then Big Play Slay, Darius Slay, was number 3 on the list with 150 yards allowed. So you got 2 of the top cornerbacks in the NFL in terms of yards allowed from the cornerback position. And it's no wonder that their defense is playing out of this world. You got C.J. Gardner-Johnson with a couple interceptions on the season. You got everybody in the secondary is just it's a new ballgame in here in Philly.
Hey, it's good to see. I really was hating on the people that were like all those Jalen Hurts haters, man. I really wanted to see him step up and do something magical, man. He's fantasy gold for me right now. I got him consensus around the 6th round, 7th round, man.
Here's the toughest part. As an Eagles fan, in my ESPN fantasy league, I have Jalen Hurts. I also have Patrick Mahomes. So now I want you to think about who do you start on a week by week basis.
There you go.
Which quarterback is going to have the better game? It's like during the first 2 weeks I was pissed because week 1, Jalen Hurts was crazy. He had a great game week 1 against Detroit. And Patrick Mahomes had a terrible week. He just had a really low week 1. And then week 2, I was like, well, I guess we're going to start the opposite because, I think I picked Patty Mahomes in my starting lineup over Jalen Hurts, and then Jalen Hurts went off. And I was like, well, shit, there goes that. Now I can't do that. Like, I got to switch it for next week. And so I switched it for the next week and started Patty Mahomes or start whoever was the opposite. And then it was the same thing. Whoever I started did terrible. And then I was like, what is going on?
See, I'm glad I took a shot with Jalen Hurts, and even though you guys gave us our only loss this year, I was fine with it because Jalen Hurts went off and got me a victory in fantasy. So it's like, all right, I'll take it. I'm not happy with it, but I'll take it.
There you go. It's good to see a competition in the NFC because I really felt like if we didn't start showing strong competition, whoever came out of the AFC was going to beat us. I don't believe in the Giants. I believe in the Seahawks more than I believe in San Francisco. You can't get me. You can't buy me into believing in Arizona's offense or defense consistency wise. Tampa Bay, I believe Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are cooked. I believe neither one of them are going to make the playoffs this year.
With the Giants, I'm sold on them more than I am with the Dallas Cowboys.
No, it's a great way.
Did you say Dallas Cowboys?
No, I'm sold more on the Giants than I am on the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, okay, good.
I was going to say I am never sold on Dallas, like ever.
I'm never.
The day that I say that, I've lost my mind. Take me out in the field, put me out of my misery at that point. So,
agreed. All right, gentlemen, I got to run real quick. I appreciate you letting me pop in
in
your podcast. So, you guys have a good night.
Hey, take it easy, Alvin. Good seeing you, bud.
All right, back to the amigos in the building. What's up, brother? All right.
Hey, what up?
We extended kind of long, so we're gonna run through this pretty quick. We're just gonna slip right to semi-waiver wire. Go ahead, buddy. Start it up for me.
So for waiver wire pickups this coming week, let's see. I have Eno Benjamin still because he still is going off with Arizona's offense, and we're still like James Conner's slowly coming into the mix.
In practice
with Eno's playing. With the way he's performed the past couple of weeks, I see him going above Darrell Williams. He's only projected for 7.4 points, but he is 70.4% roster in ESPN. Michael Carter, we touched on him a little bit. I'm still, which this one was kind of shocking to me. Tyler Algier. He's projected for 11.1 points. He's only 42.1% rostered. Let's see.
10-team, 12-league, 14-team league. That is a good steal.
We talked about Gus Edwards, definitely a waiver wire pickup. Deontay Foreman, for sure. For wide receivers, I have one that we have not talked about, and I'm not going to go into too much depth about it because, due to time constraints or whatever. But Josh Reynolds.
Okay.
I'm talking about Josh Reynolds. He, in my opinion, has been a sleeper for sure this year. Out of the 6 games, he's only had 2 bad ones. One of them was, week 1. That's a given. And then this past week against Dallas. So, I mean, you're going to play Dallas, you're going to have a bad game. That's just I've come to that realization with Dallas. Dallas's defense, as much as we like to give them crap, their defense is pretty stout. So, but let's see. Before the Lions bye week, he went well over his projection in 4 out of 5 contests. In those games, he was averaging 16.2 points and put up 2 touchdowns. Not staggering numbers, but definitely surprising for a guy who, I didn't think anything of him. Coming into the preseason, doing the preseason fantasy draft, so on and so forth. So
not even on the TV show,
No.
Hard Knocks. No. Not even on Hard Knocks did we know anything about what he had going on.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot about Josh Reynolds until I see numbers, and it's just like,
till
Where the hell has he been?
Amon St. Brown went out, and it just became
Yeah.
the Josh Reynolds and Kennedy show.
But even then, like he's still pretty he's still doing
Pretty
pretty
solid.
well. So
Yeah,
I'll give him credit.
He followed him from LA, so they have a rapport
Yeah.
dating back to their time with the the Rams.
But those are my waiver wire pickups. Who do you have, Jay?
Pretty much the same add-on to yours. Michael Carter obviously gets a boost. James Robinson, for people who are afraid, some may drop him. He's a buy low for me. I really believe he will get goal line work. He will get the touches because he does have the pedigree to play in this style of offense with a better offensive line. Deeper leagues, maybe we already talked about DeAndre Foreman. We already talked about Chuba Hubbard. Maybe wide receiver Ty Jones. Maybe bringing, not moving too far away, stashing Alec Pierce. We want to see what we get from Sam Ehlinger. It's not a good time to possibly start him, but Wan'Dale Robinson. He's been getting a significant target share with the Giants. I really feel that he's going to get an opportunity. That is my sleeper of the week. Quarterbacks, there are a few streaming options. Daniel Jones. Ryan Tannehill's been pretty bad, so I would avoid him this week. And let me look.
I was going to say,
two QB leagues. I may pick up Russell Wilson for this week. Maybe a possible streaming option as well. And sad to say it, Marcus Mariota, Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe Matthew Stafford if you're desperate in deeper leagues, 2 QB Superflex. But that's about it, man. That's all I got.
You want to take a shot with Andy Dalton?
Yeah. Seeing what you got last week, Andy Dalton may just be at the top of the waiver wire list for quarterbacks. Now that you mentioned it, I think I would go. Andy Dalton.
He's only 2.3% rostered according to NFL Fantasy, so
that's a very significant boost. That right there is a sleeper for you right there. He is he's a streamer because I believe they believe in Jameis Winston and his ability to come back. So I would put it Andy Dalton, Daniel Jones, Jimmy Garoppolo, Zach Wilson, and
maybe Stafford.
Maybe Mac Jones, maybe Matthew Stafford. But that's a hard line, man. But 8 quarterbacks averaged 20 points, fantasy points last week. So it's really picking what you really feel you can use.
It's craziness. All right. Shall we wrap it up with lightning round real quick?
Yes, sir.
All right. So 3 questions. 1 minute apiece. Let me set my timer here. All right. So since, we are getting to the latter part of the season and, we're talking about, disappointments in fantasy and, the league in general, I'm going to give you 3 quarterbacks who have had disappointing seasons thus far in 2022. And I want you to tell me which is the most surprising and why. So the first group for QBs, I have Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady. Which disappointment has been the most surprising this year in 2022?
Give me the names again.
Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady.
It's got to be Russell Wilson. Tom Brady, you can blame it on his offensive line. Aaron Rodgers, you can say the lack of consistency in the wide receiver core, but there's really no excuse for Russell Wilson, his inability to raise the level of this team right now. They're playing severely mediocre, and it's largely due to his inability to do anything with the football. He was someone I had high hopes for, drafted in quite a few of my leagues, and he just tanked. He looks like burnt chicken, like he looks cooked. You know what I mean? He looks cooked. That's it.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
That's right.
All right. So I'm going to give you two names. I was going to give you three, but I'm not. I'm with one of them. They're tied in with Tom Brady. So I'm going to count out Leonard Fournette. Same question, but for running backs this time. Who's had the most surprising, disappointing season? Jonathan Taylor or Najee Harris?
It's kind of like splitting hairs here. Najee did come in with a foot injury to start the season, so it's never a good sign. And Jonathan Taylor has been banged up this year, playing behind an offensive line that obviously just learned the game of football. So it's really pick your poison. I would say more of Najee because he does get used quite a bit more in the passing game, and he's just not making it happen. He's just not moving well with the football. He looks a half step behind in every play. It's horrible to watch, at least with Jonathan Taylor. You have to say you're very disappointed with him being my number one overall pick. So I am kind of disappointed with how he is playing. So I might just switch lanes and say him. Jonathan Taylor, yes, he is underperformed fantasy-wise, and that is all we care about right now. It's fantasy. And you have underperformed me. I picked you as the number one overall draft pick, and you have severely failed me and many others.
That's why I wanted to throw that out there for the running backs. It's like, oh man, I got to get Jay on this one.
Makes sense.
All right. Now, with the trade deadline coming up in the NFL, I want to hear a bold prediction for just with it, whether it be a last minute trade, something that's just going to seem like completely out of nowhere, what have you. Give me 1 minute to describe a trade that no one will see coming.
That is a toughie. The most obvious thing will be possibly a running back being taken by a team that probably it's already has a lot of talent and is just really adding to the pot. So Cam Akers screams to me right now, going to probably a team like Buffalo, that's already pretty stacked. He'll fall right in line, maybe get rid of Zach Moss. But a lot of people kind of see that coming. That's kind of the whispers in the wall. So, but maybe a wide receiver gets traded to a team, that gives them a boost, that pushes them into the playoffs. Maybe a team takes a shot in the dark and really surprises people by making a real playoff push ahead of schedule. That could be something that's in the cards, seeing how having these forward thinkers that we have in the NFL right now. It's not outside the realm of possibility that someone takes a swing in the dark and actually connects.
All right, just a yes or no real quick. If Cam Akers does go to Buffalo, does he start over Devin Singletary?
Yes. Initially, no. But after the first week, yes. They'll need to.
All right. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see if that trade does happen. Again, it's been kind of reported that they're
going to Atlanta.
Ooh.
That would be a very tempting. Yeah, spicy.
Spicy, and I like it. I love it. That's like mango habanero spicy. I love it.
Yes.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
Go Dogs. We play the Florida Gators this weekend. Hoping to eat some gator tail while I watch the game. I will let you guys know how victorious we are when I talk to you guys next week. But otherwise than that, go Dogs.
There we go. Well, we're going to sign off for now. I'm Matt, and he is Bugman Jay. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Peace out.